We have difficulty with miraculous healing because of the issue of fairness. We say, why does God heal one and not the other? I don't know. It is somehow a part of God's great economy in the world, but it is available to each and every one of us. If you pray for healing with another, you can be that channel. Sometimes you, as Jesus mentions here, feel a certain power, a certain energy flow out from you. I prayed with a fellow at the point of death one time. I've had the honor as a pastor a number of different times being with people literally as they breathe their last. This was a fellow who I didn't really know. I'd been asked to visit him in a nursing home. I happened to be there as a member of a family, and the nurse came in and she said, he's on his way out, preacher. Will you stay here with him? It reminded me of a time that I was in my first appointment. I was holding the hands of a little lady who was dying, and she says, Lord, I'm ready to go, and take my preacher with me. I kind of said under my breath, Lord, you understand this situation. But as I was holding his hand and his breathing was getting shallow and so forth, and I must admit I did not know this man. Like I said, it was kind of one of those situations you find yourself in. I'd been asked to drop by and see there was no family there, and breathing became more and more shallow, and I was in an attitude of prayer with him, trying to feel as though I could help maybe ease his way into the next world. When he breathed his last, I experienced one of the coldest chills I've ever experienced in my life. I could not get warm. It was one of those July 98-degree days. I walked outside and stood in the middle of the parking lot in the asphalt trying to warm up. Something had passed through his body and my body. There was a connection there. You can feel these things. It's a spiritual reality. It's a great gift. Sometimes we are healed in the body. Sometimes we are healed in the heart. The heart is the home of the emotions. Today we talk about it in terms of psychological elements of life. Perhaps the greatest healing that goes on in the heart is the healing from guilt. People carry guilt with them in their life, some mistake that they have made, some pattern of living where they have hurt someone else. The great liberation of the gospel is that you can give that guilt to Jesus and give it up and be freed from that and be saved by His mighty power, no longer caught in the tentacles of sin. Sometimes it is guilt that is misplaced. Many times children who go through divorce in a family blame themselves. It's irrational. And at some point as they mature, they have to give up that self-blaming and move to a healthy relationship. There is healing of the body. There is healing of the heart. There is healing of the mind. Just as I am poor, wretched, blind, sight, riches, healing of the mind. Yea, all I need in Thee to find, O Lamb of God, I come. The mind is the place where we hold memories. And I believe that there is such a thing as the healing of memory. Memories of loves lost. Memories of great disappointment or pain. Perhaps even memories of abuse in childhood or teenage years, something that has nothing to do with something that we have done, but a great injustice inflicted upon people. How can we ever come to reconcile those terrible, painful memories? There is a healing of memory that comes through Jesus Christ when we give it to Him. I no longer bear this alone. I no longer carry this cross alone. You walk with me every day, O God. There is a physical healing. There is a healing of the heart. There is a healing of the mind. There is a healing of the spirit. Sometimes our spirits are torn to pieces, and we need to be reassembled. We need to be made whole. We need to be able to believe in the promises of God. I've been reading the past couple of weeks H.G. Wells' two-volume work, The Outline of History. H.G. Wells, many of us know as a science fiction writer, but he was also a great philosopher and student of history, and he's got a two-volume work that was published in the 1930s, and he begins with dinosaurs and goes all the way to the present day. I mean, he looked at everything. And he was talking about the Semitic people, the people of the Middle East, the Babylonians and the Jews and the Palestinians, what we call them today, that great fertile crescent where civilization was born. And he said, you know, these were a trading people. It's where writing was invented. It's where mathematics and counting was invented. You could count the number of sheep you had, count the number of goats you had, count other things that began to calculate in this world quantities. And he's got a great line there. He said, the Semitic people are a counting people. How appropriate then that they would see God as the great fair dealer, the one who always keeps his promises.